Hello there, my name is Georgina. This is my vlog. I regularly post vlog content, but I also do crochet tutorials from time to time as I'm quite obsessed with it. In today's video, I am going to be doing a tutorial for a teddy bear jumper. Now, the reason for this is that I've had many heart surgeries and I now have a pacemaker, and I have supported the Leeds Children's Heart Surgery Fund for many years, raising money by doing shows, through my vocal coaching and numerous different ways. I've been in touch with them recently on what I can do to help them with anything really, and having my crochet obsession right now, they made a suggestion. They've asked if I can provide a little teddy bear jumper, hero capes, little hats and scarves. Now, the reason that they want this is that every child that has heart surgery in the Leeds Heart Surgery department get a beautiful little teddy bear called Katie every time they go through surgery. There's a little boy recently whose picture I will put up shortly, who's now got 4 teddy bears. So they've reached out to me and said, let's get some teddy bear outfits made. So let me show you what I've made so far. So the first one that I made was this one. And since then, I've made quite a few. This one's a little bit too big, but it's a gorgeous little tank top. I've made a scarf. Here's another one. Here's my most recent. Liz, my mother-in-law's, also made some. This little top with a cute button that's at the back. There's a scarf and also another jumper that is knitted. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make one of these crochet jumpers. Now, you can actually make them adult size, child size, teddy bear size, pretty much whatever size you want. So I'm going to explain that throughout the tutorial, including all of the dimensions. So if you do want to get involved and you want to send me one of these wonderful jumpers that you may have worked on, you can do that by sending it to the address, which is going to be in the description box below. I'm going to be putting by all of these teddy bear jumpers together, and scarves and hats and hero capes, and then I'm going to be taking them to Leeds, ready for the children to have on their Katie bears. So this is what you're going to need for this tutorial. Depending on the size of your wool, you're going to need the recommended crochet hook for that. I'm using 6.5 millimeters because I'm using chunky yarn. So if you use a DK, it's normally a 4.5 or a 5. But you'll see as the tutorial goes along, we can adapt it depending on the size of your yarn and the hook to still ensure we've got the right size of jumper at the end. You're also going to need a tapestry needle, some scissors and a measuring tape. So you're going to start off by creating a slip knot. I have done this before in other tutorials, but here we go. You want to put your short end here, long end there. You fold it over and then the long end back over your finger, and then you pull the back yarn to the front. Then pop your hook in. You want to give yourself a little bit of length so that you can sew your end in afterwards. So now we're going to chain a certain number of chains to make sure that we get to our 18 centimeters, because these teddy bears that we are making these jumpers for are 18 by 18. They're actually 16 by 16 centimeters, but I want these jumpers to be a little bit bigger to ensure that they sit correctly on the teddy bear. Right then, so we're going to start off by chaining 20 and check the length. And to create a chain, yarn over and then pull through. So 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now we're going to check the length. We've got our measuring tape here. So we've only got, oh, we're absolutely spot on, look. We are 16 centimeters, so we need a little bit more. So let's go to 28. I want you to add 8 more. So 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now you've got 28 chains. We're going to check our measurement again, and now we're up to 20. Now the reason I've asked you to go extra is that this ending here is going to create the first row. This is your foundation chain, and now we're going to add the first row. So it's going to make it a little bit shorter, around 18 centimeters once we've used that last bit of chain there. And that's kind of what you're after, is your 18 centimeters. Now if you're using DK yarn, if you're using super chunky yarn, it'll be slightly different number of chains, but essentially you want your 18 centimeters and a little bit extra, maybe up to 20, which is basically 4 extra on the end. So get your 18 centimeters and add 4 chains on the end, and for me that's 28. Right, so now we're going to do our first row. This is your foundation chain, and now we're going to do our first row. Now our whole pattern is based on double crochet, so it's very much a granny stitch type of top. But we're going to be doing double crochets singly throughout the jumper. Right, so now you've got your yarn on your hook. Don't count that one. You're then going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to go into the 4th chain. So let me just move the measuring tape out of the way. Yarn over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just straighten that up a little bit. There we are. You want to be able to see those stitches, so I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go into that 4th one. Okay, now ideally, let me just show you close up here. You've got 2 sides on this chain. You've got your crisscross, and then you've got your side with your bump. That's how I like to explain it. You've got your crisscross and your side with your bump. We want the crisscross side. So once we've gone through there, I'll just reverse and do that again for you. So we yarn over, you go through the top of your crisscross, your 4th stitch. You get your yarn, pull your yarn through. So now you've got 3 on your hook. Yarn over again, through 2, yarn over, through 2. That is your double crochet. So now you can see we've got this extra bit at the end, which is our starting chain, and then we've got our first double crochet. Now you're going to go into every single chain all the way along. So yarn over, through the chain, grab your yarn, pull it through so you've got 3 on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and we're going to continue all the way to the end. Now don't worry if it looks a little bit misshapen at this point, because we can block the jumper afterwards, and your chain will probably look a little bit bumpy, so to speak. So we're going to keep going. So yarn over through the chain, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and we're going to continue all the way along. Now with YouTube videos, you can actually speed and slow this video up if you want to, and you can also just pause it by pressing the space bar or pause on your screen. So if you're not sure of anything, you can reverse, go back and try it again. You can use absolutely any yarn you quite fancy for these t-shirts. I've done some rainbow ones. This one, as you can see, is a nice blue. But it's really good to use up yarn because you don't need a full skein of yarn for this. It's just a little bit less than a 100-gram ball of wool. We're going to keep working our way along. You can see how I'm getting this first row. Now you might find this a little bit fiddly. It normally is when you start any crochet project. To get in those first chains and get it all up and running can be a wee bit fiddly on the hands. But once you get going, it's really not an issue. Right, so we're right at the end of our first row now, and you can see it's a wee bit bumpy, but don't worry. Once we give it a bit of a stretch and the whole thing is finished, it's going to be spot on. Right, so you've gone right into your last chain, and we've put that double crochet in. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to flip it round and go back the other way. This creates a really lovely effect. As in Blue Peter fashion, here is one I made earlier, and you can see that bottom chain, and then we flip the other way around, so it creates this really nice texture going along. So now we've done our chain of 3, we're going to go into the top of this stitch. So you can see, well, let's call this a leg. And this little bit is a leg here. You want to find the top part of that. So yarn over, through, pull your yarn through, 2 and 2, so you've got your double crochet. So that's what it's going to look like. So we'll do it again. Yarn over, through the next one, continue our double crochet. We're not going through the gap here, not the gap. We're going through this stitch here. See that little gap there? Let me put it a bit closer so you can see it. It's that stitch there. So we're going to continue on our second row, and I'm going to meet you again at the end of the row. Now don't worry if it starts to roll up, it might do that. We can sort that out by the end. At the end of the second row, we're going to go through the stitch as we have all the way along. But what we're also going to do is go through the hoop here. So yarn over, through the bottom hoop, pull it up, through 2, through 2, like that. So we're actually creating that effect. So you've gone through that stitch, but in the hoop from that first row, you're going to go through the hoop to create your end. So let's do a little recap. First row is your foundation chain of 28, depending on the size of your yarn. You've then got row 1 and row 2. Now row 2, we're going to do exactly the same. And it's pretty much the same onwards until we need to worry about the V-neck. So chain 3, flip over into this one, not this very first leg, this one. And then you're going to continue all the way to the end again. And again, when you get to the end, you've got your stitch to put through here, but you're also going to go through the end hoop. So through there and through the end hoop. Now I'd like you to do 8 rows, and then I'll catch up with you then. So that will make it to 10 rows, and that's when we're going to start looking at our V-neck. Just to say, that is not including the foundation chain. So 1, 2, and continue to 10. So it's your double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10. Okay, so now you should have your 10 rows. Now this all depends on the size of your yarn as to whether you've made it to the point that you need to get to. Now I haven't. I probably need another 2 rows to make sure that we've got the size that we need. So I'm going to carry on and add my extra 2 rows to make it to 12. Right, so I've now got my 12 rows plus the foundation chain at the bottom. So you're going to give it a bit of a stretch now, because obviously while you've been holding it, it's probably got a little bit creased up in your hand. Right, so now I'm giving it a bit of a pull and a stretch. Now we're going to start work on our V shape for the front of our jumper. So you're going to count your stitches all the way along so we can get a central point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So you're going to divide 27 or whatever number you have got by 2, which for me is 13 and a half, which is not quite in the middle for me. I kind of wanted 13 or 14, not 13 and a half, but I'm going to work out exactly where the centre is. So my centre is about there, so let's have a look how many that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So yeah, we'll go for the 13 as our central point. Not quite the 13 and a half in between. We're going to go for the 13. Now we're going to, as we did before, double crochet all the way along to number 12, and then I'll show you what to do for that 13th stitch. 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. We're going to work our way along to number 12. So off we go. So I'm just doing the double crochet of number 12. Now for this central stitch, instead of a double crochet, we're going to do 1 half crochet. So let me show you how to do it. You go yarn over through the same stitch as before, through the same hole as before, grab your yarn and pull up 3. I'll do that again. So yarn over through the same hole as we normally would, grab your yarn, so you got 3 on your hook. Instead of pulling through 2 and 2, this time we're going to pull through all of them. So yarn over, pull through all 3. Now this is going to create a slight dip. So this is going to be your central point, so we can work out the V shape from there. Now you want to continue on with double crochets, so through 2, through 2, and as you'll see as we move along, that one's ever so slightly shorter, and that is our central point. So let's go to the other end. Okay, so we're now on the row, so we start doing our V. Now let's just measure from top to bottom, and we've got 18 centimeters from top to bottom, and I'm a little bit wide at 20 centimeters, but that's around the size that you want to have. Right, we're now going to work up this side of the V-neck. We're going to cut our yarn and then work the other side of our V-neck. Let me show you how to do that. 3 chains, as always. Flip it over, and we're going to work to the stitch just before this half crochet here. So off we go again, in, work our way along to the center. So I'm just getting to the stitch just before the half hook crochet. So there we are. So you've now got this half point here and you double crochet along. Now what we're going to do is chain 3, flip it over, and instead of going into this one where we normally would, we're going into the next one. So let's count it from the very end. 1, 2, 3. So not this bit, the first leg as I'm going to call it, not this one, the third. So you're going slightly further on than you normally would for a side. Again, we're going to do a double crochet, yarn over, through, double, double, and this is creating our V-neck shape. So you're going to work to your end. As always, we're going through the hoop at the end to create that last side. 1, 2, 3, and now I change it at the side, flip it round, and we're going back the other way. Now this time we're going to where this chain joins, so we're going in the stitch there. I'll show you. We're going to work our way along again with your double crochet in the first one here, not this leg, this first one. So I've got one more. Your double crochet. So as you can see, we've got a nice little curve starting to develop. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's completed. You get this nice little curved shape on the V-neck. It's not straight, it's a nice little curved, scalloped V-neck, let's call it that. So you've got here, you're going to do your 3 chains, turn around, go the other way, flip. Now like this one, you're not going to go 1 or 2, we're going here. So you see we're now creating a nice little cute scalloped edge. Back to the end, and again hoop at the end. Okay, so there we are. So you've now got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of your V, the side of your scalloped V-neck. So I want you to cut your yarn, giving yourself a little bit of length, snippy snip. You're going to use this length and pull it through. So over your hook, pull through, tug it tight like that. Okay, so now we've got to do the other side of the V-neck. So you'll need to turn it over. So the rib is the inside rib. As you can see how it goes in, out, in, out. It wants to be inside. And inside is going that way if you are right-handed. So we're going to slip knot, get his yarn on the hook, give yourself a little bit of length to sew in afterwards. Then we're going to use this other side of the stitch of the central point, that half crochet, the other side here. See, so you've got that bit there and the other side. So there's your leg. That side, we're going to go to this side. Then we are going to do a chain of 3. Then we're going back the other way. So we're doing our last row, so it matches the top row there. Chain of 3, back the other way. 1, 2, 3. So I've reached the end. I'm just going to snip my yarn and pull it through. Now if you want to sew in your ends now, you can do. So now we're going to work on the back. And this time you're basically going to do your 28 chains at the bottom. You're going to do a 17 rows. So basically a square. You're going to do 17 rows, which is going to be the back of your jumper. So I changed my mind. I've decided to sew in my ends anyway. Sewing ends is pretty easy. Get yourself your darning needle. And you want to go backwards and forwards within those stitches so that it hides it. Pull it through. Always make sure you pull it back again so it looks right. There we are. And you can go backwards and forwards as many times as you wish until it's sewn in. You don't have to do all of it. Once you feel like you've done enough sewing in, you can snip off your end. I like to keep all of my ends for filling later on, so there's no waste. Let's do these other ones. Let's go upwards, I think. There we are, back down. Snip my end. And once I've sewn all my ends in, we'll get started on the back. So I've already done the back piece here, which is 17 rows with 28 chains at the bottom. So as you can see, it matches up to my front. I was not entirely happy with the V shape, so I did a little bit of adjustments last night. So I'm much happier with the V shape now, just making sure that it looks as scalloped and as smooth as I'd like it. So I've done that. So now I'm going to show you how to sew the sides together and the top and then put on our sleeves. So obviously you're going to need your yarn and you're going to need your tapestry needle. Choose your best sides. So pick the sides that you like better. So I would say that way. And put those face to face. So the sides you like better face to face. And try and make sure both of your chains, your foundation chains, are at the bottom. So it's not upside down, which I have done before. So there we go. So we've got our foundation tight chains at the bottom because they're a lot less stretchy than the other end. So you kind of need those to be together. Right, so we're going to start from the bottom and go upwards. And you're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows approximately. If you look at it, it's basically about here. And again, there's no absolute perfection to this. About here, from where your V shape is, it's almost in the middle of what you've done. So as you can see on mine, it's pretty much the middle. You're going to go up to the middle on both sides, sewing them together. So let's get my yarn ready. I like to get it reasonably long because you can always snip it and reuse that bit for something else. So thread your needle. And then you're going to put it through the bottom hole of both the front and the back. Give yourself a tail and knot it together like that. So this tail can then be sewn in later. So now what we're going to do is the mattress or invisible join stitch. So we're going backwards and forwards. So I like to try and stick to the inner parts of the seam because it makes it look smoother when it's finished, like that. So as you can see, we're going backwards and forwards. The end keeps wanting to bounce back up again. We're nearly there. It's quite a quick job, this one. Okay, let's check. We need to do just a little bit more. So we're in the center there. And this is going to define how large the sleeves are. There we are. So it's about half. Maybe a tiny little bit more than half. You just want to make sure the other side matches. So to finish off, give it a pull and then loosen it again to make sure that it runs through properly. Go through the other side to create a loop. And then knot off your yarn. Snip. And we're going to sew that in later. We're going to do the other side now. So turn it round. Same again. Through the bottom loop. Tie your knot, and then we're going to go backwards and forwards again, joining it together at the seam. Now, as I said before, this is a little bit bumpy, this edge. If it is a bit bumpy, it's not a big deal because we're making a seam out of it, so you're not going to see it. In my crochet, I do like things smart and tidy, but when it comes to seams and things that are going to be hidden later on, you don't always need to go absolute perfection. It just needs to do the job. Let me check where we're at. So I'd say a little bit more. Check again. Yeah, that's it. I'm then going to put my loop through the loop. Just make sure that it sits nicely again, and we're going to do the same at the top now of the V-neck. So we're going to go along there and along there. Same again. Now there is a way you can crochet together so it's a no sew, but it does make it a little bit more bulky. So I like to do this mattress invisible style stitch because it's a lot less noticeable when you turn it the other way out. It will naturally settle down over time anyway, but it's something I like to do. Okay, snippy snip. This is the bit where it really starts to look like a jumper. Gets a little bit exciting. So you've got a tank top now, basically. So if you wanted it to stay as a tank top, you can stay as a tank top. Make sure that your neckline is not too tight so you can get a teddy bear's neck in there. But I'm very pleased with this. So next up, we're going to do the sleeves. What we're going to do is start in the underarm. And if you feel at this point that that's a bit too wide, we can always sew it up a little bit more to then put your sleeve in. I'm quite happy with the size, actually. Now, there is a debate on whether it's yarn or wool. But basically, if it's got some wool content, you can call it wool. If it hasn't, it's yarn. So if it's just acrylic, for example, it's yarn. Right, so now we're going to start here at the underside, the very bottom of the armpit there. And we're going to do double crochets in a circle. So you get your hoop onto your crochet hook, which we've already shown you before, and you're going to go through this bottom one here. Now you should be able to do 2 double crochets in every single hole. So we're going in. Feel like a surgeon at this point. Just go in. 1, 2. And tighten that up a bit, pull it down. So you should now be able to get 2 in every single one. So there's your 2 double crochets, yarn over, through your hole, through 2, oops, through 2, and you're going to go 2 in every single hole. There we are. I'm going to keep going all the way around. So in a second, you're going to go over the join. So you get your 2 there. So you can see we've got space for another 2 in here. 2. We're now up to our join. So we're going onto the back panel. 2. You might want to give it a little bit of a move around. There we are. Keep going. I've had a yarn delivery today for my shop, and I can't tell you how excited I am to go and open it up. But I want to finish the tutorial first. Stay with me. Nearly down to the bottom. 1, 2. So as you can see, we've got double crochets, 2 of, so double doubles all the way around. And nearly there. Does get a wee bit fiddly, this bit, but persevere, it's worth it in the end. So 2 more at the bottom. Now you should, at this point, now you've got all the way around, be able to slip stitch it together. So to slip stitch it together, you want to find this double crochet, and we're going to go through 2 of the loops. So up 1, oops, again soft yarn, up, down the other side. So you've got 2, yarn through, and then yarn through. So you're slip stitching it together, because we're going to do 2 more rows. So 3 chains, and we're going to go back the other way, and you're going to do 3 rows all together. So we're going to go back round, slip stitch it together, 3 more chains, and back round again to finish the sleeve. So the sleeve is 3 rows. Now if you'd like it to be a longer sleeve, you can do as many as you want. So you can just keep going and keep going to the length of your sleeve. But on my design, I'm making it more like a t-shirt jumper. And I'll show you the one I've made earlier, Blue Peter style. This one I've decided to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's entirely up to you on how many rows you want to have and intend to make it into a jumper. The teddy bear's arms are 16 centimetres. So you don't want to go too far. I would say at least limit yourself to 13, because you're not going to get the hand on the end. So no more than 13 centimetres for this bit. So I'm going to do some more rows, and I shall beat you back very soon. I've just realised I forgot to mention, when we're going back round again, it's these stitches that we're going into to go back round in. So yarn over, through the stitch, through 2, through 2. We're doing it like that, not through the holes, through this stitch again. So your first row is through the holes, but now we're doing it through the top of the stitch. So as you can see, we're now doing it through the top of the stitch. So I've just finished my second row and I have slip stitched it together. So I now need to do 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. You're going to turn the other direction as we have with all of this pattern, and we're going to go back the other way, which, depending on if you want that as your length, will be the length of your sleeves. Now, while I'm doing this, I just want to let you know that I have created a size guide, which I'm going to put in a link below the video in the description. So there'll be a size guide below in the description, and it gives you all the basic information of what crochet hook size, what yarn, how long it should take, all the centimeters of the arms, etc, etc. It's all listed in there. So keep going and I'll meet you at the end. So now at the end, and I'm just slip stitching together. And because I'm going to have 3 rows, I'm going to snip my yarn. Again, give yourself enough length to sew in your ends. Pull through. And there is my little sleeve. Oh, how cute is that? So that's sleeve 1 done. We're now going to do the other side. And again, you can do it longer if you want. There are possibilities to decrease as well, or you can increase, so you can have sort of bell sleeves, but that's something else I can do tutorials on at a later date. Right, so we're going to go from the armpit again, under the armpit, and then around. Just to recap as well, on that first row, you're going through these larger holes, but then on the second row, once we go back the other way, you're going through the top of the stitches. So you've got your chain 3, yarn over, through 2, through 2, and then work your way round. And it'll be like that for these next 2 rows. So here we are. I have finished both my sleeves. Here is my lovely little jumper. It's so cute. So to complete this, all we have to do is sew in the ends. Again, get your yarn, and we're going to go back and forth to get all of these bits of ends all sewn in. Now you might find that the odd one sticks out here and there, like this one's sticking out. But once it's been, you know, jiggled about a little bit, stretched naturally, washed, etc., then you can snip those ends and you shouldn't have any issues after that. Now, washing instructions is going to be on the yarn that you're using. Acrylic, for example, easy washable, brilliant, chuck it in the washing machine on a cool wash. But if it's a wool, then it's more delicate, and you need to put it on a delicate wool wash and then dry it flat and give it a bit of a stretch afterwards. So here we are, the completed teddy bear jumper. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I do hope you have enjoyed it, and do send me pictures of what you make, whether or not you send it in to me. You can get me on Instagram at The Honest Vocal Coach. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye, loves.